buried her in the backyard. That's the dumbest thing that you would. Oh, we're live? Hey, what's up, everybody? Did you guys catch that? Did they? Okay, anyway, guys, welcome. Viva killed a raccoon, female raccoon.
I was going to make a joke that would not apply to an animal. Never mind. It's a joke, people. It's a joke.
My wife. Well, guys, welcome to The Unusual Suspects. I hope everybody's been well. You guys had a good week so far. We have a lot of stuff to talk about today. This is one of those shows where I sit here and I hear everybody's story. I'm like, hey, wait, what? And Chris and Viva and Connor and Amy are like, just wait till the story comes out. So we have a lot to talk about. Amy is going to be talking about Milei. He did a little pump and dump. Is it called a pump and dump?
It is called a pump and dump, yeah, where you drive up the price of a cryptocurrency, usually from some type of influencer promotion, and then the insiders, they take all of the money and they crash it. So it looks like Milei may or may not have been complicit.
So he might be afuera.
Possibly facing impeachment. We'll have to see.
All right.
When I heard it was a pump and dump, I thought it was another story. Bada bing, bada boom, I'm out of here.
Connor's going to be talking about the Super Bowl commercial, and there's an FDA cover-up inside of it?
Yeah, it turns out Big Pharma has been waging a secret campaign against a very useful medication, and now a Super Bowl commercial has kind of brought that to light, made everybody start debating it, and I have the latest with an expert insider giving commentary.
Oh, snap. I love expert insiders. Wow. Chris, USA versus Canada, that might have been, it was this weekend?
It was last weekend.
Last weekend.
Saturday.
I was livid, and my thumbs started going on Twitter, and I was like, the flack that I got with Canadians, and we know one guy said, because we're talking about the booing in the hockey game, one guy was like, those are Americans in there pushing people to, I go, dude, shut the hell up. Justin Trudeau was sitting there like the cute little guy that he is, just laughing and smiling about it.
But the beautiful thing was the NHL players tariffed the Canadians hockey style.
I loved it.
They dropped their own form of tariffs on the Canadians. We'll get into it.
All right, we'll get into that.
Yeah.
And Viva, what do you
Plane crash. It's either going to be 10 years of DEI, force majeure, or Trump's fault because of 1 month of discussion about cutting down the FAA.
And bro, and I don't know if you guys saw that. Are you going to show the crash?
It's not graphic, and everyone survived. So,
oh, no, yeah,
miracle.
thank you. I did a sketch about it, and everybody got freaking up. Did you see the sketch?
No,
I'll show it to you after this. I'm upside down. But by the way, I was watching it.
Oh, I did see that. I'm sorry. I'm an idiot. Yes.
By the way, it looked like whoever was flying it just went down hard. Looked like a rookie mistake. Listen, and I told somebody this. Like DEI, they did a push. Delta, we don't know. I heard there's rumors that there was one girl. But here's my thing. When it comes to 30,000 feet in the air in my life, no virtual singer. I just want the best. This whole DEI shit's stupid. It should be a blind test. Who's number one? Who's in the room? Who knows how to fly? That is it. I don't like that quota shit, bro. Not when it comes to my life, and we're seeing it, hopefully that's not the case in this case, but I have a feeling when it's this quiet for that long.
Yeah, they have not yet, we'll get into it. They have not yet released the names.
Yeah, we'll wait. But, okay, so my story, JD Vance. Guys, I don't know, did you see what he's been doing he is on a rampage.
They call it a Churchill moment. It is the most polite evisceration of a nation, a series of nations that you could possibly imagine, and the most well-deserved.
I love this. So just for everybody who didn't see it, last week at Munich Security Conference, Vice President JD Vance, I want to call them harsh truths to all the leaders of Europe. He called them out for stifling free speech, ignoring the real issues of their citizens are facing. He highlighted some examples, like a British Army vet, and I'll say just in case, because I don't want to play the whole thing. The whole thing is like 4 minutes. Examples of a British Army vet convicted for silent praying near an abortion clinic, 50 meters away, not even close. They arrested him, and a Christian in Sweden persecuted for burning a Quran. I could see you getting your butt whipped for that, but putting him in jail, like that's, I don't know. But this is a clip of him, bro, and this pissed off so many people. Now, let's play the clip.
I look to Brussels, where EU commissars warn citizens that they intend to shut down social media during times of civil unrest
Put the volume up
moment
a
they
little bit,
spot what they've judged to be, quote, hateful content. Or to this very country, where police have carried out raids against citizens suspected of posting anti-feminist comments online as part of, quote, combating misogyny on the internet, a day of action. I look to Sweden, where 2 weeks ago the government convicted a Christian activist for participating in Quran burnings that resulted in his friend's murder. And as the judge in his case chillingly noted, Sweden's laws to supposedly protect free expression do not, in fact, grant, and I'm quoting, a free pass to do or say anything without risking offending the group that holds that belief. And perhaps most concerningly, I look to our very dear friends, the United Kingdom, where the backslide away from conscience rights has placed the basic liberties of religious Britons in particular in the crosshairs. A little over 2 years ago, the British government charged Adam Smith Connor, a 51-year-old physiotherapist and an Army veteran, with the heinous crime of standing 50 meters from an abortion clinic and silently praying for 3 minutes.
Silently.
Not obstructing anyone, not interacting with anyone, just silently praying on his own. And after British law enforcement spotted him and demanded to know what he was praying for, Adam replied simply, it was on behalf of the unborn son he and his former girlfriend had aborted years before. Now, the officers were not moved. Adam was found guilty of breaking the government's new buffer zones law, which criminalizes silent prayer and other actions that could influence a person's decision within 200 meters of an abortion facility. He was sentenced to pay thousands of pounds in legal costs to the prosecution. Now, I wish I could say that this was a fluke, a one-off crazy example of a badly written law being enacted against a single person. But
Europe,
no,
baby.
this last October, just a few months ago, the Scottish government began distributing letters to citizens whose houses lay within so-called safe access zones, warning them that even private prayer within their own homes may amount to breaking the law.
Private prayer in your house.
Naturally, the government urged readers to report any fellow citizen suspected guilty of thought crime. In Britain and across Europe, free speech, I fear, is in retreat.
First things first.
Go ahead.
He was drinking a lot of coffee before he gave that speech, right?
No,
That's untrue.
Bada bing, bada
Hey,
boom.
yo. Yeah, I put the speed on 1.5 because that's how we roll.
This is welcome to Europe. I mean, these are contemporary examples. Remember back in the day, the guy went to jail, ended up getting murdered for leaving a ham sandwich in front of a mosque.
Yeah.
In the UK, they're locking up people, sentencing them to 3 years for mean so-called anti-immigrant social media posts.
Yeah.
You stay the hell out of Europe. It's not a free place anymore.
When I say it's cooked, just as a whole. Remember we were talking about England and Leeds with all the things that they were doing with the children and the Pakistani, gangs and all that stuff. It's like, bro, nothing is going right. And dude, what a ballsy move to go there and go in front of all these people and be like, yo, guys, you guys better change. Because this is not good. I mean, bro, they're blindly, they're not going to listen to him, bro. And he didn't stop there. He pointed out that their threats, Europe's threats, aren't from the outside. The real threat isn't Russia or China, but from within. The mass immigration and censorship. And this is, the officials didn't take kindly to his words. The foreign policy chief, Kaja Kallas, accused Vance of trying to pick a fight with Europe. And this, German defense minister, Boris Pistorius, he calls his comments not acceptable. Look how mad, bro, meaning he had to write this speech on the cuff and say, whatever he says, I have to comment about it. Play this, Nat.
This is why I cannot just ignore what we heard before. I cannot not comment on the speech we heard by the US Vice President. We fight for your right to be against us.
Fight for your
That
right
is
party.
the motto, one of the mottos of the Bundeswehr, and it stands for our democracy. This democracy that was just called into question by the US Vice President, and not just the German democracy, but Europe as a whole. He spoke of the annulment of democracy, and if I understood him correctly, he compares the condition of Europe with the condition that prevails in some authoritarian regimes. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not acceptable.
So he's up there literally, because he had to rewrite the speech, he's literally up there going, these people have no idea what they're talking about. How dare you point out us? We fight for your right to say what you want. You're doing the complete opposite. You don't want anybody talking. Like, what does that remind you of? That type of...
Who's the EU leader guy? He's got a French-ish name, and he was the one who basically threatened...
Ken Stearmer?
No, he's British. The head of the EU, he's got whatever, threatened Elon Musk.
Shit, who was that?
I'll get his name.
World Economic Forum guy?
No. The head of the EU.
European Union.
But it doesn't matter. We'll get his name in a second.
If only there was some sort of repository of information where we could go to find these things out.
You got France, which Macron literally said we're going to shut down social media posts as it relates to things like riots. What they need to do and what they're trying to do and what they're effectively doing is deterring criminalizing speech that criticizes their immigration policy, because it's exactly why France is going to the shitter and why England is going to the shitter, and people take to social media to complain about, quote, bad immigrants, and they say, you can't do that, that's hate speech, because it draws attention to our failed immigration policy.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy? You can't even hear, but by the way, I know people from Europe that are like, this is Assyrians in Germany, Assyrians in Sweden, that message me, bro. It's so hard for them to speak out because on social media, they can't post it.
Exactly.
So when people are like, you guys don't know what you're talking about, I'm like, no. You can't hear what these people are talking about. That's the problem. If they post something, can you imagine, because I'm going to show this clip. Who's the person?
Thierry Breton. This is his name.
God bless you.
Yeah.
But what's his name?
I was going to say it again.
Comedy guy. So guys, so remember this, Amy. All the stuff that he talked about, everything that JD Vance put them on blast with, And then the minister goes up there and they're all complaining and crying. This doesn't happen. This is CBS, who joined German police to conduct a raid on a citizen. Guys, not for cocaine, not for assault, not for the R word, for posting a meme online.
No.
Nat, regular speed, right, babe? Play this clip. Look at this.
It's 6:01 on a Tuesday morning,
AM.
and we were with state police
What
as
is
they
the-
raided this apartment in northwest Germany.
You imagine this?
Inside,
This is
6
Nazi
armed
Germany?
officers
This is literal
searched the
Gestapo.
suspect's home, then seized his laptop
Seized his
and cell phone. Prosecutors say those electronics may have been used to commit a crime. The crime, posting a racist cartoon online.
Can I see the
No,
cartoon?
it's
I want to see. I
it's
want to see how
nothing racist.
racist.
Exact
thought it
same
was. It's not
time
racist.
across Germany,
If they think it's racist, they're
more
gone.
than 50 similar raids played out. Part of what prosecutors
60
say
raids.
is a coordinated effort to curb online hate speech in Germany.
I'm glad they're
wanna see
finally
it there.
cracking down on something. You know, like the German police have been sitting on their hands doing nothing for like
Zero.
20 years.
Well,
Oh,
did you
is it-
guys see? It was going around on X. The German police actually finally like losing it during one of the, I think it was Islamic protests that were taking place, and they finally
They were finished?
one of the male police officers went ham on.
Oh, yeah, I did see he was kicking and hitting everybody. Oh, yeah, they're tired of that.
they're-
Well, it's only a
Everyone
matter
has a
of time.
breaking point. Everyone has a breaking
But
point.
you appreciate, like, it's funny. I didn't see the cartoon. They call it racist as though that's a foregone conclusion, when what they might be qualifying as racist is saying there's too many foreigners in Germany. So they call it racist. Don't show what it was, because it probably wasn't racist. And
Or
then
worse, you
knock
find
down
it
the guy's
funny when
door.
you saw
Oh,
it.
no, funny,
Yeah.
but here's the thing, and here's my thing. Even if it was, let's say, because everybody has their opinion, bro, there's a level meter of racist. If, I think this is racist, sensitive people, put that aside. If you post something racist, let's say in America, you don't go to jail. It circulates and everybody knows exactly who the hell you are, and then you have to face the fire, you get fired, all that stuff. I'm all for that. But to arrest somebody for posting some stupid shit, I'm anti that 1,000%.
On a scale of 1 to Kanye, where do you guys think
Yeah,
it was
well,
sitting?
Kanye.
in the
Well, think about it.
spectrum of
Kanye. Quick question back to you. Do you think anybody should get arrested for posting something that's, let's say, in their mind that it's a funny joke? I'm not saying
No.
straight out like the N-word or stupid shit like that. I'm just saying.
No, even that. I mean, it should be discouraged, but it shouldn't be illegal. You shouldn't be able to take somebody to prison for it. All of this stuff is like completely by design, like you said, because now even the people who don't believe what is being espoused, they can't speak up about it for fear of genuinely very harsh punishments. All of this is completely by design to disenfranchise, disempower, and to completely dilute the identity of those nations.
I
And
agree.
what's so scary to me, guys, is I feel like had Trump not won and the Kamala administration gotten in 4 more years, I know that we have things to protect us, the First Amendment, Second Amendment. Who knows where we would be in 4 years from now? I wouldn't be surprised if it was something very similar.
Well,
to what we're seeing in
you would have
Europe
had
right
it
now.
within the first 2 months, because, as Walt said, the First Amendment. The First Amendment doesn't give you the right to promote disinformation,
Yeah.
misinformation.
Of course, and that's what they always do. And there's this huge segment of the population, typically on the right, that believes, no, as long as the Second Amendment is in place, all the other rights are protected. You've heard that
Yeah,
a
of
lot,
course.
I'm assuming. And ideally, that would be true. Where as long as you have your right to self-defense, the right to own firearms, they can't take the rest of their rights away from you. Problem is, during COVID, we saw that they can do that. They will take every right away from you and leave the guns sitting there, because
100%.
we have government officials that will sit there and say on TV with a smile, what do you need an AR-15 for? We have F-16s and nuclear warheads. There's nothing you can do.
I remember that Biden said that.
Yeah, Biden said it, and multiple members of Congress said it as well. So great, you got the guns, but they're sending you to jail for things you post online. They're censoring you. They have all the social media platforms flagging you as misinformation, just even for questioning, the results of an election or
Right.
the efficacy of certain medical procedures.
Yeah.
But they go out of their way to do that, and they are taking the rights away from you, and without even realizing it.
Yep. Chris, what do you think?
Well, I think that the reason it's been allowed to happen is because it is effective. I mean, they've seen it work before. I'm pretty active on Twitter. I'd say probably more than anything else. And there was a period of time where I would write something out, read it, I don't know, and I'd let it go. And then I got to a point eventually where I was just like, fuck it.
Yeah,
And it's like it's time. This can't happen anymore. And when people see that it is effective, it's the only reason they keep doing it is because it works. And we've seen countries and continents where it's completely, changed everything.
Listen, I respect JD Vance because, bro, mind you, he's an American. We have the Constitution. We have all that stuff here. He's just over there letting the people know because people are watching it. He can give a shit about the leaders. He's like, guys, this is not good. What you're doing is wrong. The people, bro, and like you said, Amy, it's only a matter of time till people flip out. This next clip, these are German officials. I said officials. Officials saying it's a crime to, dude, insult someone online and then repost something that isn't true. Play this clip.
It's illegal to display Nazi symbolism,
Obviously.
a swastika, or deny it.
It's Germany.
I still don't think that should be illegal, but whatever.
Is it a crime to insult somebody in public?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
But of course it is.
Yeah, of
A
course.
crime to insult them online as well?
Yes.
The fine could be even higher.
Higher.
Yeah.
If you insult someone in the internet.
Why?
Because in internet, it stays there. If we are talking here face to face, you insult me, I insult you, okay, finish. But if you in the internet, if I insult you or a politician,
That sticks around forever.
yeah.
The prosecutors explain German law also prohibits the spread of malicious gossip, violent threats, and fake quotes.
Fake
If
quotes.
somebody
I do
posts
that all the time.
something that's not true, and then somebody else reposts it or likes it, are they committing a crime?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
in the case of reposting, it is a crime as well because the reader can't distinguish whether you just invented this
People put
or
them in
just
camps
reposted
afterwards
it.
for
It's
the
the
wrong
same
talk.
for us.
Yeah.
The punishment
exactly.
for
That's their
breaking
goal.
hate speech laws can include jail time for repeat offenders. But in most cases, a judge levies a stiff fine and sometimes keeps their devices.
Oh, fine.
the people
and keeps
reacting
their
to
phone.
taking their phones
And
from them.
keeps their phone. You can stop at that. These guys, these guys get me sick.
Bear in mind,
And
these
they're
are,
laughing about it. Too.
well, these are the prosecutors. So when I first saw this, I didn't know if they were criticizing the policy or affirming the
they're
legitimacy.
affirming. They
Those are the
love it.
prosecutors. It's insanity. Let me read. Thierry Breton. Remember what he said when he
Bless you again.
threatened.
You might have a cold.
We are monitoring the potential risks in the EU associating with the diminution of content that may incite violence, hate, or racism in conjunction with major political or societal events. This is when they urged Elon to think about what he was allowing on the platform. It is purely to hide the disastrous consequences of their failed government.
You know what? You know what incited a lot of that racist hatred and anger? A migrant stabbing a bunch of girls to death at a Taylor Swift themed dance class.
Yeah.
So you know what? Maybe it's a little bit justified when people get pissed off and say there's too many immigrants coming into this country completely unchecked and unvetted, and they're killing people in the streets. So these people in the UK who get locked up for causing anxiety. I don't know if you ever came across that one.
Yeah, of course I have.
They might be in a cell right next to Axel Rudacabana, the guy who stabbed those girls at the dance class, or in a cell next to the people arrested for praying outside the abortion clinics. Don't gloss over that, because that case Vance mentioned, it's not the only time that's happened. I can think of at least 4 others that were arrested. Or when the UK dragged off a 16-year-old autistic girl because she happened to remark that a lady cop looked like she might be a lesbian.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw that video a few years
course
ago.
I
And
did.
like,
No, wow.
the UK has nothing but hatred for its own people and nothing but suicidal empathy for the rest of the world who comes in like, oh, you poor put-upon child. I know you stabbed a bunch of girls, but it must be because of your lack of access to social programs. And
Yeah.
what racist memes drove you to this act of anger?
Not his father, who was a freaking terrorist.
Of
Not his
course.
dad, who was a terrorist from Uganda, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And then they came over here.
Yeah.
No, the parents are Christian. I think it was the kid who
No.
stabbing
No.
stabbing
Yeah.
one.
No.
They found out they were not Christians.
No, they're definitely not. Yeah, they're like, he went to a Christian school. No. When you saw the photo, he looked like a demon, bro. And like this is in closing, because you're talking about the immigration. Did you guys see this clip where JD Vance is at the National Conservatism? I don't know. I don't even know where this was.
Munich.
But in Munich, is it the same thing?
No, this was a different conference.
Oh, this is a different conference. But he's saying he's talking about which country, Islamic country, is going to have the first nuclear weapon. Please, because he knows what's happening in the UK. Play this clip.
I was talking with a friend recently, and we were talking about, one of the big dangers in the world, of course, is nuclear proliferation, though, of course, the Biden administration doesn't care about it. And I was talking about, what is the first truly Islamist country that will get a nuclear weapon? And we were like, maybe it's Iran, maybe Pakistan already kind of counts. And then we sort of finally decided maybe it's actually the UK since Labour just took over.
Oh my God.
I mean,
But
by the way, have you seen the percentage of how many people are actually born?
Oh, it's like 20%,
Germany and
25% are born.
By the way, it's they don't give a damn, bro. And okay, can you just briefly, because I know we want to move to the next story. As a leader of a nation, of a leader of Sweden, Germany, all these places, the UK, what is the plus of letting everybody in, especially from these countries that are stabbing and doing? The facts are the facts. I don't give a shit if it hurts
very
your
simple.
feeling.
What the reason is, you hate your own people.
Why?
What
the hell's your
the
problem?
German government and the British government, there's no other explanation besides they hate their people. They hate the identity of being from these countries. They hate their identity as Europeans. They hate the fact that they're white. So they have to, as an act of atonement, basically just let whoever they want or whoever wants to come in and get away with murder, essentially.
I think it is the Frank Underwood from House of Cards. They create the terror so they have something to govern.
Oh,
I mean,
God.
they know what problems it's going to cause. The worse it gets, the more they have to double down. And they've created a crisis that they have to manage by way of taking away your rights and giving themselves more power.
That drives me.
I'm very curious to look into like voter ID laws in Europe as well. Like, do you guys know how that functions? Like, could it be a similar thing where a lot of people speculated that here in the US, a big part of why the Biden administration was pushing to have so many people come over here was so they could win in those crucial swing states that don't require any voter ID. I wonder if it's a part of the same ploy to keep more liberal and progressive leadership.
I don't think so in terms of that. I think in terms of Germany and the push to take in all the Syrians back in 2015, it is the post-Holocaust guilt that they have. Like, in order to atone for our sins of like 80 years ago, we now have to have such an open heart that people come in and stab it. And then, by the way, they turned around and realized like a little while later, it's such a big problem, we got to pay them to go back. And then they say also, we got to let them in because these are refugees fleeing conflict that we are helping exacerbate by way of our global conquests and Western wars. So it's like it's a self-fulfilling prophecy and also just a black hole. But no, they're causing the problems that they then have to empower themselves to regulate, and that's good for government, but bad for the people.
Great. All right. Well, guys, sorry, Europe, move to Florida. Anyway, Amy, Javier Milei's crypto pump and dump.
Yes.
What? I bought this. If this is real, because you're going to say it, this is really not good for him.
No, it's not good. He could be potentially facing impeachment. There could be some big repercussions. And this is tough for him because he has consistently enjoyed, approval ratings of over 50%. Since he came into power in late 2023. So technically he's considered to be one of the world's most popular politicians right now. He's done a lot for Argentina so far as really reducing inflation and everything like that. But something has happened this weekend that could really seriously jeopardize that popularity after he promoted a meme coin that goes by the name of Libra. He posted about it on X, which then triggered a dramatic rise in its value. We're going to get into the numbers here very soon. But there was a subsequent collapse when the insiders of the project withdrew all of the money, and then all of the people who invested because Milei promoted ended up being out of pocket and losing all of their funds. Really quick, Nat, if we could go back to the previous slide. If you guys want to read more about this in depth, please check out Connor's article. By the way, it's Connor's birthday as well, so everybody in the chat gets some birthday love.
28 is not an age to celebrate.
I'm almost 20 years older than you.
Oh.
Dude, I'm 18 years older than you.
I was 18, and you were just like,
wait, 28 means, okay, you're still born pre 9/11, so
Yes.
but you were
1998.
It's actually one of the earliest things I remember. So
9/11.
things have only gone up from
Mommy,
there.
There
what's
you go.
that?
My sister's in 98 as well, so it just makes me feel like I'm getting old. But
Oh no, I'm definitely getting old. I told everybody earlier.
Listen,
today,
until
like,
you
our bodies are creaking already.
Yeah, every time I stand up out of a chair, my body creaks and groans like an old wooden ship.
Guess
Cracks.
what? Guess
Yeah.
what?
Gets
Wait till
worse.
you're 46.
Oh
Bitch.
my
I'm sorry,
gosh,
go ahead.
it's awful. Anyway, so read Connor's article if you guys want to go a little bit more in depth. But Let's go ahead and move on to the next slide, and let's read here exactly what Milei posted when he promoted this project on X. So he says, liberal Argentina grows. This private project will be dedicated to encouraging the growth of Argentine economy by funding small Argentine businesses and startups. The world wants to invest in Argentina. Long live freedom. And as we can see there, he also shared the contract address for the cryptocurrency. Now, initially, there was some panic about whether or not he had been hacked, because it's really not common for presidents or political leaders or figures to promote cryptocurrencies, let alone meme coins.
He did see what Trump just did with his coin, so maybe he got the
Thank you,
right
Viva.
idea.
You literally just made my point. I feel like that kind of felt like it gave him permission or kind of a green light to be able to promote something like this after the relative success of the Trump coin. So that makes sense there. But after Milei's endorsement, some crypto commentators quickly pointed out that around 80% of all of the people who were holding the coin were insiders from within the project. And you can track that by looking at the different wallet addresses. So typically when that happens, you know, you should be pretty skeptical that you could be entering into some type of a pump and dump, some type of a scam. You know, it very much suspiciously looked like a rug pull. And so a lot of people were skeptical, but a lot of people believed it because it was also verified on Bloomberg. We can see this post here. They actually posted that the Argentine president confirmed to Bloomberg Linea via text message, the project is real and involves pure private investing. So once that article came out, obviously the investment started to pile in. About 44,000 of Milei supporters and others looking to capitalize on the cryptocurrency bought in, and the coin absolutely skyrocketed. We're going to pull up the chart here in just a minute so you guys can see it. But at the time before Milei did his promotional post, the total market cap of the coin was up at about 200 million.
Damn.
And then subsequent to his post, the total market cap surged all the way to 4.5 billion.
Holy. Amy or Connor, who knows the answer to this? 80% being held by insiders is one thing. What were the rules on the issuance or the release of the coins that were held in terms of how they were going to be doled out? And whether or not it was going to be a limitless, unlimited, or a capped release.
Right. I mean, I'm not 100% sure what the stipulations were on this project. Obviously, they didn't usually have the protective measures that a lot of other projects have, where, for example, if you go to withdraw before a set date, they charge you an insane amount of tax to be able to withdraw, and that then prevents or disincentivizes people from, you know, selling off their coins because they have to pay a ridiculous tax. It's unknown whether anything like that exists, whether any coins were locked up for a period of time, but typically speaking, taxes and other things like this don't apply to insiders who are holding the coins anyway. That's just how it can be written into the contract.
Wow.
So we can pull up this chart here and take a look at what happened.
But by the way, that looks like a big middle finger if you look at it carefully.
A Milei finger. Yeah.
We can see that. So the big green bar is when Milei made his post. Subsequently, a couple of hours later, it jumped all the way up to 4.5 billion. And then 3 hours after it started trading, those insiders that we mentioned earlier, they sold off about, 94% of the total value of the coin, supposedly raking in about $107 million in the process. So the insiders who were, behind the rug pull. Now, shortly after, Milei did subsequently make a statement. He first deleted his initial post that was endorsing the coin, and then he went on to make a new post, insisting that he had no connection to the project whatsoever, and he had no details of what the project entailed beforehand. So it says here, a few hours ago, I posted a tweet, as I have so many other times, supporting a supposed private enterprise, which I obviously have no connection whatsoever. I was not aware of the details of the project, and after having become aware of it, I've decided to not continue spreading the word, hence why I deleted the tweet. Now,
this reply is actually even more damning than the original.
Worse.
Yeah.
It's
like, I just promoted something that I had no idea what it was,
Yeah, so
and
you
I
just admitted guilt.
But I'm not convinced he has no connections to it, assume he doesn't, and he's take him for his word. So he just promoted a crypto thing, not knowing anything, and didn't think that the president of Argentina tweeting out support for something would have an impact.
And an economist. He was a well-known professional economist.
And also, isn't he very pro crypto generally? Like in that initial post, he was bragging about how, you know, this is going to stimulate small businesses. Crypto is huge with a lot of the new governments in South America. Bukele in El Salvador is also like he was the Bitcoin guy before he was the lockup gangsters guy. So for an economist like Milei to say, I had no idea, because the stats you read off right at the beginning, like it sounds like it has every hallmark of a rug pull imaginable.
Yeah, I mean, so either he didn't know and he was that ignorant, in which case, why are you promoting that? That is still so grossly negligent to do and still really, really bad. Or did he do it intentionally and he actually rug pulled and was in cahoots with the people who developed the project and then the people who promoted the project? We'll get into all of that in a minute. But what's interesting to find out is this isn't the first foray into crypto that Milei has been a part of. Back in 2021, when he was a national deputy, he also promoted a platform called CoinX, which promised returns of up to 8% per month for people who were invested into it. Unsurprisingly, that was obviously a pyramid scheme. And that is now currently being investigated still by authorities. So this isn't his first foray into this world. And I think from that, he should have taken that as a lesson to do a little bit more due diligence when he goes about promoting things.
And look, can I be honest? Can I make my observation?
Yeah, of course.
I get it. He was this guy, a fuera, funny, cool. Do you trust anybody with that hair? Now, don't play it, but can you just show that hair with the sideburns on his cheek?
He either looks like a 70s porno actor or like a 90s murderer.
Or a murderer or vampire that's a day walker. Like, I'm not
totally vampire vibes.
He's a vampire that can walk through the day.
I see it. Yeah. Okay, so we're actually going to play this video now. The caption's down the bottom, guys, so follow along and read there. This is a short video. We'll just see what his response was. Viva, you'll get a kick out of this if you like the post.
La realidad es, si vos vas al casino y perdés plata, digo, ¿cuál es el reclamo? Si vos sabías que, digamos, tenía esas características. Es decir, entonces es muy interesante que aquellos que participaron en ello, no solo que lo hicieron voluntariamente, es un problema entre privados, porque acá el Estado no juega ningún rol, y aunque eso quede claro, y además lo hicieron voluntariamente.
¿Y está bien el presidente lo promociona eso?
Yo no lo promocioné, yo lo que hice, lo difundií.
Bueno, es lo mismo.
No,
o sea, dale promocionar, difundir. Está bien que el presidente difunda eso, sabiendo los riesgos que tiene.
Digo, esto quiere seguramente...
What happened?
De Justicia, Mariano Puño Libarona.
Él va a seguir
we get the picture.
He's going to get his ass afuera.
Yeah, he probably should have taken maybe some advisory, gotten some PR advice on how he should make his statement. But some final thoughts that we're going to get into here. So Milei claimed to not know any information about the project. However, what's interesting is he did seem to be relatively well acquainted with the company who actually sponsored the project in the first place, KIP Protocol, who he supposedly met with all the way back in October, and they apparently informed him about LIBRA all the way then. We saw them make this post, and they did state here that Milei is not directly involved in the project. Today was the launch of the ambitious Viva la
Libertad.
I thought it always said Libertad. Project to help private enterprises in Argentina, and the Libra currency has been a success. We want to thank everyone for their support. To address all questions, we want to clarify that this is a private enterprise project. President Milei was not and is not involved in the development of this project, as he has mentioned himself. So they seem to confer what he was saying. However, he also seems to have connections with the company who actually carried out the launch as well. This is a smaller known company called Kelsia Ventures. And so the guy who runs it, Hayden Davis, he actually claims to be an advisor of Milei's and supposedly met with him in late January to talk about this project as well. Let's go ahead and watch a video of this guy. We're going to go to 32 seconds in, please, now.
He looks Argentinian big balls.
He looks like Dana Carvey in that short.
What do you mean? He looks like he's a Harry Potter, like Hogwarts. Like they're playing that What's that game when they're on the broomstick? Quidditch. He looks like a Quidditch player. Like he looks like the jerk that's gonna lose and die.
He's also rocking the John LaJoie grapist glasses.
Oh, those glasses are so bougie.
But what does he have to say about substance? Is it good?
Let's hear his substance.
32 seconds. Let's go. Thank you, Nat.
They're screwed over. And I do believe there's actually an amazing way forward if people are open to it. Before I say anything else, I am indeed Javier Milei's advisor. Obviously, I think most of you guys have seen that either on Twitter or some form of social media. I am working with him and his team on much bigger tokenization and really cool stuff in Argentina, and I absolutely back him.
Yeah, we get. I mean,
there's no pausing.
We'll do it live, people.
Do it live. There's only certain elements that I could control the launch. Definitely things didn't go according to plan. But rather than share all the details right now, because it's going to be a much longer video, it's going to be a much longer structure, I want to make sure you guys all know I'm a very direct, straight to the point person, and I think there's a very specific way forward here. My intention is every single dollar I've managed to round up, which I believe is every single dollar that's been collected or from fees or farming or liquidate, anything, I've managed to get back. And my intention is to inject everything back into the Libra chart. And my intention is to do that in the next 24 to 48 hours. I'm open if there's a different plan that benefits all of you more for anybody.
Can we pause it? And the chat's like, why are they bitching and talking over it? Because we lost the light.
We had no light.
The light shut off.
Well, it looks good. I was looking at the lighting.
Wait, let me look. I can see on the.
Here's my conspiracy theory to this. This reeks of a Sam Bankman-Fried FTX.
Yeah.
This looks like Milei might have been exploited, set up. Don't worry about it. And now we're going to humiliate you, discredit you because everybody already hated you, or at least the globalists did. Make crypto look bad. More regulation for crypto. Hamper everything. And Milei is, in fact, an innocent victim who got played like a fiddle.
I was just going to float a similar theory. There might be another key player here who has been silently moving behind the scenes, according to what I think.
Yeah.
I don't have any concrete proof for it, but we haven't heard anything from Haley Welsh, the Hawk Tua girl, since she did her own rug pull here and then disappeared.
She's gone.
Is it possible she fled to Argentina and tried to do the same thing again?
Yeah.
Oh my!
I was going to say, look, the reality is the fact that the fact that Milei did endorse it would have given me, and I'm a reasonably skeptical person, a little bit more confidence in it. Trump did his properly. Like, he launched his properly. There are going to be so many coins. It's only going to be released so many each year. And that's how you avoid the massive dilution in the pump and up. I couldn't find online if there was an actual limit to the coins that were going to be issued.
Right.
I also sent the clip. I saw somebody freaking out. I don't know who the influencer was, freaking out, said he lost everything, Milei. I'm coming to get you.
Oh,
no. And I felt bad for the guy.
Yeah.
But then again, if you invested everything you had in Bitcoin, I think you'd be an idiot in any event.
As well. That's what I was saying. At the end of the day, if you have risk capital, if you have a high risk tolerance, if you're trading with money you can afford to lose and you want to ride the hype but not believe it, then fine, go into these markets. But for everybody else, you need to be aware, you need to be safe, because this is still kind of like the wild, wild west. There aren't really as many regulations. There aren't guardrails to protect people. And so people, they really need to move with caution. What's interesting is that guy we just watched the video of, and I don't know if you guys could hear from all of us speaking over it, but he was essentially saying that he was going to take all of the money that he had made from the project and inject it back into the project to help everybody get their money back.
Well, how generous of him.
But what's interesting, this guy didn't do that for Melania coin, and he actually admitted, guys, this guy admitted.
This is the guy.
Yeah, we're going to play it in a second. Just let me finish.
I got you.
So he actually also admitted on a CoffeeZilla interview that he was a part of the development team who also sniped Melania coin. Because remember, the Trump coin came out and it did exceptionally well, and many people thought the same thing would happen with the Melania cryptocurrency coin, and it totally crashed. Well, this same guy who we just watched a video of is also behind the development and the sniping of the Melania coin, according to an interview he did with CoffeeZilla.
I kind of want to launch my own coin, but just say, we'll only have 1,000, and that's it. And we'll break it down, and eventually you'll have nano.
I could see Viva trading
Viva
Viva
Libertad.
coin,
Except they're going to call mine Viva Libertad or something. I don't know. This is the video of the kid that I saw freaking out, and I felt bad for him.
Is this real? Is he acting or is he?
He looks sincere.
I'll tell you.
He's a famous influencer.
Oh, guess what? I'll tell you right now.
Is that like Jack Doherty or something?
It looks like one of them, but I'll tell you right now if he's being serious or if he's
okay.
full of shit. Go
Wait,
ahead.
I have advice for him after his rant here.
I'm broke.
Okay, it's an act.
I'm fucking broke. I'm gonna find you.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah,
find
he's a
you,
wrestler.
Dennis. I'm gonna find you. You rugged me. I have nothing.
Yeah, this is all an act.
You can't say I'm gonna find Javier Milei.
I have to sell it.
This is an
I
act.
have to sell all my shit.
This is all an act.
I don't have anything. Against you pieces of shit. You rugged me. You all rugged me, bro. And I'm gonna find you.
He's not like a wrestling.
Well, I was
WWF.
going to say, he's lost everything. He hasn't lost everything. He's young. He's healthy.
in a house,
he's
he
got
has
a
a
very
watch,
nice body on
he
a
has
young
abs.
man. And that doesn't last, everybody. You get to be 45, you have to work a little harder. You eat those stupid gummy bears before you go to bed, and you feel ashamed of yourself the next morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm always skeptical about the people who find it in them to set a whole studio up before they start crying. People like that I always am cause for pause with people like that. Like, I'm hitting walls if I'm extraordinarily mad, but I'm not able to curb my anger long enough to set up my spotlights and my sound levels.
You punch the wall, you walk over to the camera, you make sure the angle was right, the lighting looks good, and if it wasn't, you go do another
let's
take.
go do it again.
Yeah.
How can you be so rough with the wall and gentle with the expensive electrical equipment?
Yeah,
That doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
I was talking with some of the guys in the office about this very subject before we started the episode, and we were just talking about the crypto stuff that they do and how they trust it and how there's so many sketchy crypto scams nowadays. And I know almost nothing about crypto other than what I read. I don't invest. I don't really track it or follow it. It's a lot of it's lost on me.
Yeah.
But part of why I'm reluctant to get into it is because the whole thing it's all these meme coins of like this currency that's not actually backed by anything. It's basically just a celebrity or a person with authority saying it has value, and that's why people trade on it like it's worth something.
Yeah.
And then you pause for a moment and realize, yeah, that's what the dollar is too. That's what all money is. Oh, well, I'm going to go back to gold. Yeah, that's what gold is.
Right.
This yellow rock that is hard to get is all the value for some reason.
The rarity is what determines its value. Yeah.
So the mentality of being skeptical of crypto is basically just the way to get into being skeptical of all things that you use to trade on. So
I love your theory though about Haley Welsh. I mean, that could be very much a possibility. She's hiding out. She launched her meme coin 2.0.
By the way, first of all, I am so happy that she's out of the line. Like, I'm just the fact that a girl. This is our society. The Kim Kardashian, all these. They're promoting all this disgusting ass behavior. You're a sex tape. That's your claim to fame is a sex tape that your mother allegedly brokered the deal of your sex tape, and it's disgusting. And Haktula just spit on that thing. She's talking about spitting on a guy's penis, and she became the #1 talked about human being on the planet for months.
Yeah.
Notice how I didn't say month. Months. That tells you exactly what the hell we are as a society. So the fact that her that's who she really is, and she got pumped and dumped or whatever, to hell with her. I don't want to see her anymore.
Yeah, what about Milei though?
If you're stealing from the people, go F yourself. Get the hell out.
No, and not just that, but you with great power comes great responsibility. You can't just tweet out willy-nilly. You can't even retweet things if you don't do a proper due diligence.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a big problem for Milei, but he might have been sabotaged, and he set himself up and fell for it.
Yeah, but him talking on these interviews isn't helping him. Amy, great freaking story. Guys, just a heads up for all the viewers. I know you got some of. I saw the chat. They're like, they're talking through the clip. To hell with the end of the clip. Our lights went out, so we are the crew just ran in here and put up another light.
I just want to say one thing. Nothing to do with me, people. Every time I got audio problems whenever I go live, and everyone's like, Viva's bringing the
guys. Viva brought the light motion. We have a huge light over here, and I just heard click, and it was just off during the video.
We've been doing this show for like almost a year and a half. Never lost lighting one time.
Never.
I think shout out the light bulb.
But shout out to the boys in the back. Dude, what's up? Oh, it snapped.
The chat likes it.
The chat likes it.
Oh,
yeah. Someone said it looks better now.
No, what I'm saying is shout out to Jared and Malik right in here quick. Malik set up a freaking lamp. I'm like, oh shit, dude, I heard like a pop, so I'm pretty sure that thing's gone. Yeah, well, guess what? We're suing. I don't even know who these people are. Okay, all right, guys, moving on. Connor, it's a Super Bowl commercial. I remember seeing the hims and hers. Hold on. multiple times. I had no idea what the commercial was about, but you're saying the FDA is talking about what's going on with the FDA and getting
yeah.
caught?
So there's been a little bit of an interesting controversy around this Super Bowl commercial. If you're unfamiliar, Hims and Hers is a telehealth company that advertises a bunch of drugs and health supplements and stuff, and they did a Super Bowl spot that was, I would say, this close to perfect. If you watch most of this ad, it actually might be one of the more based Super Bowl commercials I've seen in a long time.
Well, I mean, I remember parts of it.
Until they get to the part where their product comes in. Okay. So let's roll that ad first, and I'll get your thoughts on it.
This is it? This is the commercial?
This is the commercial that aired during the last Super Bowl a couple weeks ago.
Let's see it.
Obesity is America's deadliest epidemic.
This is America.
74% of us are overweight, and obesity leads to 500,000 deaths each year.
Why, you just have to stop eating, Jimmy.
This is America.
Something's broken, and it's not our bodies.
Very good.
It's the system.
Can't
Welcome to Weight Loss in America.
Like and subscribe.
A $160 billion industry that feeds on our failure. There are medications that work, but they're priced for profits, not patients.
This is America.
This system wasn't built to help us. It was built to keep us sick and stuck. But not anymore. Hims and Hers offers life-changing weight loss medications. They're affordable, doctor-trusted, and formulated in the USA. You get a treatment plan designed by a doctor to fit your body, goals, and lifestyle. You deserve to feel great in your body. This is the future of healthcare. This is Hims and Hers.
What's in the bio?
No,
Join us in the fight for a healthier America.
The ultimate irony is they are the ones now making money off of the obesity epidemic of America.
Exactly. So the thing is, what is in those vials is a compound called compounded semaglutide. And we will discuss this medication at length. But basically what that ad is for is to sell you through Hims and Hers telehealth service prescriptions to what is basically off-market Ozempic.
Oh, gosh.
So just generic.
Yeah, you see that ad starts off fantastic. Obesity crisis and the corruption in the food system, and the system exists to keep you sick. But there's been a lot of confusion about what happened with that ad. Let's go to this clip from Good Morning America, where they were responding to some of the controversy over this commercial.
The weight loss drug ads from Hims and Hers that you probably saw during the Super Bowl. The treatments in the ad do not require FDA approval, and they're coming under new scrutiny after the commercials aired during the big game. Elizabeth Schulze has what you need to know about them. Good morning, Elizabeth.
Good morning, Michael. Well, in this high-profile Super Bowl ad, healthcare startup Hims and Hers showed off its weight loss drug, calling it life-changing and an affordable option for American consumers. But critics say that the ad was deceptive and left out critical safety information.
This is the future of healthcare.
An escalating controversy this morning over this Super Bowl ad from telehealth company Hims and Hers.
This system wasn't built to help us.
Portraying a greedy American healthcare system and touting the company's weight loss drug as a less expensive alternative to medications like Ozempic and Wegovy.
They're affordable, doctor-trusted.
Hims and Hers drug is compounded, meaning it combines or mixes multiple drugs to create a tailor-made medication. So it isn't required to go through the FDA's rigorous approval process. The maker of Ozempic and Wegovy firing back in a full-page ad Monday, writing, "Do you really know what you're injecting into your body?" Two senators blasting Hims and Hers for failing to include side effect disclosure, risk, or safety information as would typically be required in a pharmaceutical advertisement.
That Hims and Hers ad? Whoa. Diabolical.
Some viewers were also put off, saying the ad encouraged fat shaming and depicted weight loss drugs as a silver bullet for America's obesity epidemic.
Hims and Hers is not going to fix the food in our country.
In a statement to ABC News, Hims and Hers saying, "We don't believe Americans should be a certain weight or size. We take safety, quality, and transparency steps for every customer on our platform. We are complying with existing law."
So we can go ahead and cut it there. But as you can see, everyone is losing their minds over this commercial.
If I may raise the obvious point, where Good Morning America says critics are now going there, and Good Morning America is going after this company. Do you know who the biggest advertiser on Good Morning America is?
Could it be perhaps Pfizer, Moderna?
Yes.
Yeah.
So now they get their farmer to say, go after this company because they're going to cut into our stuff.
Of course.
Holy hell is the corruption.
It's gangster.
What is it they say? You never go full Big Pharma, right?
Never go full Big Pharma.
You could literally see the frame where they sold out. Like, it was perfect. The commercial was fantastic. I remember watching it like, this is crazy. This is new. We're changing. And then it was like, you could literally see the second everything changed.
Broken system. Food's making you fat, keeping you sick. And they just want to sell us more drugs.
Yeah, you should. The commercial could have just stopped. I would have respected the hell out of them if it was just somebody looking after all that. It does this, all these deaths, and it's just some random person going, "Stop eating like shit, dumbass."
That would be
like, just. By the way, how about just a feel-good commercial going, "Get out of the refrigerator at 4 a.m., chunky."
It ends with a picture of RFK just glaring at you on the camera. Yeah. And as this guy on Instagram will point out, this is a post I saw that got my mind kind of moving on this subject. Hims and Hers showed a bowl of Fruit Loops in that ad, which means they are very carefully paying attention to the Maha movement.
Yeah.
They're paying attention to what RFK is saying and identifying Fruit Loops as one of the worst cereals. Play a couple seconds of this guy's video just so we can see another example of someone online freaking out about this.
This Hims and Hers ad during the Super Bowl is so insidious and also quite possibly illegal. Because at first I was like, hell yeah, who's this talking about obesity and how it's America's #1 health crisis, which is 100% true. They call out how the system is meant to keep us sick. They point out that the food industry is selling us poison for profit. They even threw in visuals of Fruit Loops, so I know they're for sure paying attention to Maha and the movement to boycott Kellogg's. But guess what their solution is? It's just more drugs. Injectables, pills, you name it. So then I looked into what Hims and Hers is peddling. And it turns out what they're essentially selling is unregulated Ozempic, something called compounded semaglutide, which the FDA has not reviewed, approved, or tested for safety or efficacy. In fact, the FDA website right now has a warning about these unapproved weight loss drugs. They're talking about cases of hospitalization due to dosing errors, possible counterfeit Ozempic. There have been hundreds of reported cases of adverse side effects
we can pause
in the
this
last
here.
couple months alone.
I want to talk about what the issue is. Because if you listen to Good Morning America and you listen to guys like this who posted this video, the problem is that what they are selling, the version of semaglutide that Hims and Hers is trying to sell with this commercial, is the compounded version, which is not FDA approved. But the reason this hit home for me a little bit is because my wife works for a compounding pharmacy. And so we have insider information on what this actually means. And there was a lot of confusion in this video in particular. There's a big thing going on in the comments section of people arguing over what that actually means. If we go to the next video, my wife, my inside source in the pharmaceutical industry, actually gave us a little explainer. I think she might be in the chat right now.
Hi, Natalie!
Chat, if you're watching, go.
So she's going to break down the compound stuff?
She's going to break down what compounded medication actually is. If we can roll this clip she very kindly made for me last night.
Awesome.
Hey, Unusual Suspects. My name is Natalie. I'm Connor's wife. I have been a compounding pharmacy technician for almost 6 years now. So Connor wanted me to explain the difference between commercial and compounding drugs. Commercial drugs are the ones that are, yes, FDA regulated, and they are mass produced. So they're produced at set strengths. Maybe there'll be a couple per drug, but it's not a wide variety of strengths so that they can be mass produced. The difference between that and compounding is patient specific. You can do pet medications, people medications, but you're able to do specific strengths or specific formulas that cater to people who need something different. Like if they are chemically sensitive and they need a really low strength, or if something's not working and they really need a higher strength, we can do that. We can do hypoallergenic formulas for people who have allergies. We can do ophthalmic drugs for eye drops that aren't available commercially. We can do injections. We can do, let's say someone has trouble swallowing. We can do a liquid medication rather than a capsule for them. So we can offer things that the commercial drug market is not capable of doing. Now, there are two myths here about the compound drug market, and that is that A, it's not regulated, and B, it is knockoff drugs. So it's not a knockoff drug, it's a generic compound, but we're using the same active ingredients. Like compounded semaglutide, for example, is going to be using semaglutide, which is the same active ingredient as what's being used in the commercial Ozempic. It's kind of like the difference between over-the-counter Tylenol and over-the-counter acetaminophen. Same thing. The other myth is that it's just totally unregulated, like it's some back alley drug deal, which is not what's happening. So it may not be regulated directly by the FDA, but there are a lot of presiding agencies over it that are putting checks and balances in place to make sure that we're making the correct things that are safe for patients to take. Whether it's the NABP, which assesses my facility in particular every 3 years, or the State Board of Pharmacy, the Florida State Board, which assesses us I think it's annually. We also have to renew our paperwork and our licensure information with all the states that we are licensed to ship into every single year. And there's also the fact that every single bulk chemical that we bring in to compound everything is regulated by the FDA. So we go through distributors like ANDA, PCCA, Amerisource. All of these are FDA regulated manufacturers. So there are some of just the basic differences between compounding and commercial drugs. And I hope you have a great rest of your episode. Love you guys. Love you, babe.
Thanks, Natalie.
Thank you, hon. I appreciate that. So her insight into this actually kind of helped open my eyes to something interesting on this subject. We talk about big pharma all the time. Right. You know, we discuss, you know, the campaign big pharma has to keep us sick, keep us hooked on their medications, the things big pharma did during COVID, but we often struggle to define what big pharma is. This is big pharma. The FDA and the major commercial drug companies hand in hand to regulate the drug market and sell us products that are often bad for us. Yeah. So compounded medication is essentially small pharma. It's the thing outside of that system, which is part of why the FDA doesn't regulate it. The issue that Good Morning America and all these people on social media are taking with the Hims and Hers ad is that the version of semaglutide they're selling is compounded. The problem is not that it's compounded. The problem is that it's semaglutide, which, like they said, is Ozempic. Side effects of Ozempic include intestinal blockage, more recently blindness. I wrote down a list because I found more and more headlines about the problem. Erectile dysfunction, low testosterone, intestinal problems, stomach paralysis, pancreatitis, thyroid tumors.
But I'm not chubby.
The list goes on and on.
Prevent the effectiveness of contraception.
Exactly. Because it is being used as a designer weight loss drug rather than what it was created for, which is a diabetes medication.
Yeah.
And all these companies are just trying to push, oh, if you want to lose that stubborn 15 pounds and don't feel like actually putting in effort, inject yourself with this and you'll shed the pounds right off.
Yeah.
But the thing with compounding is that this goes back to ancient times of, okay, you're sick, you go to the local doctor. Not that they have, you know, this massive stockpile of something they made for everybody. They custom make the thing to treat your symptoms. Like my wife said in that video, they do lower dosages. For example, if, you know, someone needs a certain kind of medication that's only available in a high dose capsule, they can make low dose capsules, or vice versa. Somebody needs a higher dose, they make a higher dose capsule. So instead of having to take 15 doses in a day, you just take one. Yeah. Pet medication, things for eye medication, that like eye drops that aren't commercially available. Things like if you have a dye allergy or, you know, various other sensitivities to these things. And so it's a myth to say that compounded medication is not FDA regulated, because they bring the chemicals in, like at my wife's pharmacy. They ship chemicals in, they make all the drugs in-house, and then ship them out to the customers who were prescribed to them by a doctor. All those chemicals they ship in are FDA regulated. The controlled substances also have to be checked by the DEA because they make painkillers. So when you hear people freaking out about, you know, that it's not FDA approved, let's take a brief look back at things that are FDA approved. If we go one other slide over, Ozempic, like we just said, with all these horrific side effects. OxyContin, that thing that the FDA, when it first got rolled out, said had less than a 1% chance of being addictive, and they prescribed it for headaches. Yeah, definitely no collusion there with the Sackler family and Purdue Pharma and McKinsey corporate consultant, all of whom had to settle for, you know, the biggest corporate settlements in pharma history, I believe, to say nothing of the COVID vaccines. Those are all FDA approved under emergency use authorizations, where they got rolled out really fast and had basically no time for clinical trials. So, like I said, the problem is not that it's compounded. The problem is that it's semaglutide to begin with.
Right. The problem is that we're living in a post-truth world now. We see that ad and say, oh, they're making something that's good, and then they're selling a medication. And then we say, oh, I'm skeptical of them. Then Good Morning America, sponsored by Pfizer, comes out and says, I'm attacking them now because they're giving competition to our big sponsor. And I say, oh, I'm inclined to trust them again. Oh, and then they say it's not FDA approved. And yeah, the same FDA that was banning ivermectin and saying you're not a horse and getting all political, I don't trust the FDA. So if the FDA doesn't approve it, maybe I think it's even better. This is a post-truth world where we don't know who to trust anymore, and it's almost by design. But the bottom line, instead of saying get off your butt and exercise, they say we got a medication for that while shitting on the other
And to show you the importance of these compounding facilities, my wife's pharmacy was one of the few in the country that continued to supply ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine during the pandemic. Because unlike commercial facilities, which were told, do not under any circumstance produce ivermectin. And if you are found giving out ivermectin to anything other than like horses, you'll be able to lose your license. They were able to continue compounding it. And any doctor who is willing to give you an ivermectin or HCQ prescription, you could have that filled at their pharmacy. They were one of like only a handful that continued doing that.
Right.
So this is very clearly why Big Pharma wants to go after compounding facilities, because they're the only ones that are kind of out of their reach for now.
Yeah.
And they hate that.
They aren't actually the bad guy. It's the Big Pharma. Who's
Exactly.
The bad. I wonder if puberty blockers are FDA approved. Do you guys?
Pretty sure.
Rob?
Yeah.
A lot of them are, I'd have to imagine.
It's crazy. I feel like we live in a society that's just so obsessed with medicalization in every single way. Like, we live in a world that is conducive to making everybody like sick, sad, and gay. And so now they're just doling out like puberty blockers, sex changes, SSRIs,
Well, I believe,
and weight loss pills as a solution. And I guarantee you, in a decade from now, when we analyze all of this, we're going to be so fascinated by the mindset of the people who let this happen, because it's going to make everything so much worse. The lawsuits that will be coming to light over the period of the next decade are going to be insane.
I believe the puberty blocker Lupron is FDA approved, because before it was prescribed as a puberty blocker, it was used to chemically castrate sex offenders.
Well, things might have been FDA approved for one use, and then they use it for an off-label use, and that's sort of generally tolerated unless it's therapeutic treatment of COVID.
But with compounding, they don't have to. They're not legally obligated to list, on that insert all the side effects and everything.
Right.
Many still do, and also that's where you as a patient need to have a conversation with your doctor and with your pharmacist about the side effects of your medication. And if you're relying on, the paper being in there as the thing that shields everybody from legal repercussions, that's because nobody's doing their due diligence. Doctors are prescribing things they don't know about the side effects of. Pharmacists are filling them. Patients are taking them. Just because your doctor gives you something does not mean you're immediately obligated to swallow or inject it.
Yeah.
So, I think it's time everybody woke up and started paying a little bit more attention to what we put in our bodies. This is RFK's America now.
Yeah.
So let's get healthy again.
Well, hopefully it changes. All right, moving on.
Awesome.
Chris, USA, Canada.
All right, so we got to do some Super Bowl talk last week, and I'm trying week by week to sort of bring the audience into my world a little bit. So, look, we're going to talk a little bit about American patriotism today. All right, obviously we're all aware of what's going on with the U.S. and Canada right now, right? The tariffs and Governor Trudeau and the 51st state stuff, right? So needless to say, that's got Canadians a little upset with us. So at sporting events all over Canada now, whether it be the NBA or whatever's going on, anytime they've played the American national anthem, it's getting booed to the high heavens.
Can I just cut you off right now?
Yeah, please.
Listen, you Canadian son of a bitch. You sit there and you don't say anything till this is over. But I love you. Don't move. Go ahead.
All right, so here's the deal. What I've come to love about sports is I love when like real life instances sort of like interject themselves into sport, because it brings fans in and it elicits emotion and like a buy-in that you don't normally have.
Yeah.
So it's a really cool time to bring fans on. You think about stuff like the 1980 Olympic Miracle Game, right? It was right in the midst of the Cold War. It was the U.S. and the Soviet Union.
Sick game.
Then if you're a football guy like me and you're an American guy, you might notice that in 2006, Hurricane Katrina just ravaged the New Orleans area.
Yeah.
And the community sort of like rallied around the Saints. And it was like one of the biggest stories in the country where they came and they won the Super Bowl on the back of Reggie Bush and Drew Brees and stuff.
Yeah.
And then, obviously Rocky and Drago, come on.
Hey, yo.
So I just want to show you guys quick. This is a little bit. Oh, so I'll just introduce you quick to the tournament. The hockey is running what's called they're running the Four Nations Face-Off, and it's a 2-week tournament that running at the All-Star break of the NHL season that pits like 4 countries against each other. So they're trying to do this in a different way than, say, the NBA, that kind of the All-Star system is like falling down. And this was Saturday night semifinals game between the United States and Canada, where they made a specific announcement before to please show respect to the opposing team's national anthem. And this is sort of how it happened. If we could just play that video.
If I was drunk and in there, I'd be punching people in the face.
Chris, you said they had to. They tried to tell them to like, hey, please be respectful. Do they usually have to do that before games, or is it just because of the climate right now?
I took shit online because I said it's just terrible, and I have a bunch of Canadian followers who are like, you have no idea how bad it is up here. It's so disrespectful. And Trump threw gloves first. It's like, first of all, you're wrong, and you're an idiot, and you're a child, and you're wrong. Period. But you're booing a veteran who's singing that. I presume he's a veteran, unless he's dressed up.
Oh, no,
and you're booing somebody for their service.
Right.
And you're asking for trouble, and there was a little bit of karma in
What's
this.
hilarious is that Canadians, even when they're faced with the president of another country that's saying, hey, we're going to overtake you and make you our 51st state, they're still like, yeah, we're pissed about it, but go ahead and play their national anthem anyway. Like, we got to let them do that at least. They're so nice.
Like, don't play it. Yeah, just say, we're not going to let you play it.
You know, booing is the most a Canadian can do when they're angry.
But there are like some unwritten rules that like you could hate a team in a different state or a different country. There's some things you just don't do. Booing their national anthem is generally one of them. The U.S. players heard this, and after the game, they talked about it, and they were like, we heard it, we were pissed.
Oh,
and normally they won't say that. So I just want to take you guys to the initial puck drop. This is the first second of the game after this happened. And this is how, like I said earlier, this is how the U.S. men's national hockey team tariffed the Canadians, like right at the puck drop. If we can play that first play. This is 1959. That's 1 second. The puck hit the ground, and so did the gloves.
Now they got no helmets, and then I don't know if you're going to play the one where he takes them down without the helmet.
This one time I went to a fight and a hockey game broke out.
So this is 1 second in, and this is Matthew Tkachuk of Team USA. We can play the next clip, which is 4 seconds in, and this is his brother Brady Tkachuk beating up another Canadian. So we can play that. Nat, that there, and that's his brother. And guys, if this reminds you of anything, it's Nat. If we could just show that picture of the old Bash Brothers from the Mighty Ducks.
Oh,
remember
that's
those?
so funny.
So we have a legit Bash Brothers now on Team USA, which is pretty awesome. And then, guys, we can go back a mere 5 seconds later. This happened.
Another one.
Yeah, that guy played for the Penguins at one point.
Yeah, that guy, I'm convinced that was intentional.
He was trying to hurt him, I think. I don't know that he thought he was going to catch him in
you know
the
what?
artery,
The fact that he got off with absolutely no
How come it's
penalties
allowed?
whatsoever.
The one sport where you have like basically knives in the bottom of your feet, you're allowed to fight.
Well,
That doesn't make any
they're not
sense.
kicking.
I don't
On ice.
understand.
Well,
That's
generally
crazy.
they don't kick. So,
But
But you could fall and someone could be there.
Definitely.
And
It's
you're-
happened
weird
before.
though that this is the only sport. Like, why doesn't every other sport just go, hey, listen, if we both agree, let's whoop each other. Like, go meet me at the 50-yard line. I'll whoop your ass, and then that's it. If we hit the
well,
ground,
I mean,
it's done.
ratings are dropping significantly in a
So
bunch of
let
sports.
them-
This
yeah.
tends to be what drives. Well, look what's thriving. The UFC is thriving, right? It's what people are. It's kind of the way the.
Could you
America, that's
imagine
what
the
the world
PR
is.
nightmare if, like, you knocked Travis Kelce's teeth out during the Super Bowl?
Oh.
Like, you
Wonder
just
if his
you
face is
ripped his helmet
insured.
off and just punched him a couple times?
The case you were talking about was the UK was the guy's name was
Yes.
Adam Johnson,
Yes,
who died.
correct.
Now I happen to be close friends with Adam Johnson, the lectern guy. And can you imagine you wake up or you're someone who says you read in the news Adam Johnson
R.I.P.
was,
Adam Johnson.
but no, it makes me very uncomfortable. I remember Clinton Malarchuk getting his jugular slit,
of
and
course.
the other one, the Russian guy, both of them didn't die because they got the coaches pinched the jugular.
Yeah.
Makes me very uncomfortable to see human heads on ice fighting. But
it happens quite a
there was
bit,
some
too.
karma was doled out.
Yes, and so what's even crazier about this, right, is this is like the first family of American hockey, apparently, because this here is Team USA versus Team Canada in the Hockey World Cup in 1996. This is Claude Lemieux down here representing Team Canada, a notorious goon.
I remember.
Right? And who's that fighting on Team USA? That is NHL hockey legend Keith Tkachuk, the father of Brady and Matthew Tkachuk 20 years earlier. So we can roll that one too. This is Keith Tkachuk from 1996 doling out some punishment on the Canadians in the World Cup of Hockey. But how crazy is it that his two sons in the same uniforms,
whooping that ass.
Yep.
Makes me very, very uncomfortable.
By the way, and you'd think this is they let them stay on the ground. This is a Canadian sport.
Right.
Canadians aren't fucking tough, but on ice, on skates,
and
they
Chris,
like to fight.
if I'm correct, we beat them in this game on Saturday.
Well, this is what is so, the beauty of this
poetic
is
justice.
right now we went into their building on their ice in their sport, and we beat them 3-1 to secure a spot in the finals. Now, this is another clip that's going around.
Up next, we're going to beat Mexico in soccer.
I can't verify this one or if it's true or not, but this is another one that's going around. We can run that one really quick.
Is that Trump? Is that Trump on the skates?
This is Justin Trudeau. Nat, if we can play this one real quick.
Oh,
Yes,
look at
eat
Trump.
it.
Trump's face is so funny backwards.
How ridiculous is that?
I love
That
it.
this
Well,
is
go
going
ahead.
around.
Can you imagine, the Canadians are taking issue with Trump referring to Trudeau as Governor Trudeau. I was like, you're right. He should have gone by his true moniker, which is like blackface McGropey Hitler, because that's who. I mean, but it's so amazing that people are now Canadians are defending Justin Trudeau being denigrated by Trump.
Well, it's one of those weird things where, like, I can pick on my little brother as much as I want, but you can't. Like, as soon as you start to bang on my little brother, it's not going to work anymore. That's.
I mean, it kind of makes sense because, like, Pierre Poilievre was not super warm towards the proposition either, even though he's probably the furthest right-wing viable candidate in Canada right now. He took that mentality of, like, this is my... And you know what? Great. I actually was in support of that because it means Donald Trump is inspiring nationalism in every other country, which was always the goal. The goal was never to say American nationalism over everybody else. There's other countries out there that say their nationalism is better than everybody else's and everyone should suffer because of it. That's not Trump's version of nationalism. The Americans should take care of Americans and be proud to be Americans. Canada should take care of Canadians and be proud to be Canadians. And when everybody builds themselves up like that, the world is a better place.
Yes.
So, great. By threatening to invade Canada, Trump is making Canada more nationalistic, and I'm here for it.
Winning.
Yeah, I'm sure that was his goal the whole time.
Absolutely.
To help them.
So this happened, like, again, to add insult to injury. Justin Trudeau was there, and they showed him a couple of times, and it was incredible. And what did the U.S. do? This is funny, too. Before you go play in another building in a tournament like this, you let their music people know, like, what we want to play if we score. So every time the U.S. scored, what shot through the speakers is Freebird. So how perfect was that? We go into Canada when things are bad. They boo our national anthem. We go ahead and we beat them in their sport 3-1, and we do it behind Freebird every time we score a goal.
I love it.
And I'm telling you, there's not too many times in sports you really get to feel that, like, it's like a special thing when you get to, unite around a sport. It's something that I know you could tell I'm super passionate about it. But yeah, it was cool. The atmosphere was incredible. And for a game that's, in theory, it's like an exhibition. Like, this doesn't mean anything to anybody. It's just an exhibition game during the NHL All-Star break. And it wound up being like one of the highest rated TV events in the last 10 years. And now everyone's super excited because, oddly enough, the tournament wasn't over after this, just like in the 1980 Olympics. I think the misconception is when the U.S. beat Russia, they won the gold medal. They just won the chance to move forward by beating a better team. Well, right now, Canada won their bracket despite the loss. And then tomorrow night, it's supposed to be like one of the most watched events on TV. Now, in the finals, it will be Canada and Team USA.
Again?
But in Boston this time. So now it's on our turf.
Bob, I'm watching.
Yeah.
That I don't think they're gonna. Do you think they're gonna fight off the rip again?
I don't know that it would be in Canada's best interest because what's going to happen? They're just going to.
You think they're going to boo the anthem?
The question is going to be: is the American side going to boo the Canadian national anthem?
Because
there was reprisals of booing. Somewhere, I want to say Tennessee, they were booing the Canadian national anthem.
I don't know how I'd feel that. Do we want to be like the high road?
I wouldn't recommend it.
Right.
In Boston. They're not only going to do it, they're going to be saying shit that you're going to be like, "Why? I've never even heard of that."
What I think Viva's saying is, are we going to boo their anthem?
No, that's what
he's saying. I'm saying in Boston. I'm not pro it.
Well, I'm saying,
listen, your national anthem, have some respect. I wouldn't boo anybody's national anthem.
Right. Boston boys are going to boo the
I know Boston. I spent all my best friends are in Boston. Bro,
yeah.
they're
bunch of blackout drunk Bostonians.
They're gonna shit in their
They're not
hand
gonna let
and
this
throw it.
It would be very classy if they didn't.
I love Amy. Amy was like, they're allowed to fight?
Yeah.
They're allowed to throw shit?
No, not the shit.
Well, I mean, when the Panthers win, they throw rubber rats on the ice.
Yeah.
down
When the
here,
Detroit
so that's
Red
a
Wings,
whole
they
thing.
throw octopus on the ice.
They do
Real octopus.
What? Wait,
Amy,
what?
Yeah, Amy, we're gonna go watch. Remember, we're gonna go
You have
watch.
to explain hockey.
Why don't we
to
go
you
watch a
sometime.
Panther? The Panthers play here, right?
Yeah, they're playing Sunrise.
We're gonna go next week.
So, just a little sidebar. Like that's how I got my fiance into sport is by showing her hockey.
Oh,
She
yeah.
loves hockey.
Right.
Now she loves hockey and UFC
The
because she's a little bit of a
drama.
battler.
I mean,
yeah.
Amy,
Yeah.
Amy, we're gonna bring poop and we're gonna throw it on them.
And so so we
Dog
have
poop.
the finals will be tomorrow night in Boston, and this is a person. This is a former New Jersey Devil, now Team USA general manager of hockey. This is Billy Guerin, and here he went on Fox Sports, Fox News yesterday to extend a personal invitation to Donald Trump to please be his guest and support them in Boston. So he has yet to accept or turn down the invitation. But here, we can play Billy Guerin really quick.
And we would love it if President Trump was in attendance. We have a room full of proud American players and coaches and staff. And listen, we're just trying to represent our country the best way we can.
Well, Bill, it's great.
So it's just because I know he's in Mar-a-Lago this weekend. Like if Donald Trump is in Boston for that game and he just shows up and surprises everybody, dude, it's gonna be insane.
The ice will crack under
it
the
would
roar.
be freaking insane. I mean, it's Boston. I don't know.
Well, you've seen it before with the UFC. Like, it's not like you could see like the emotion and hear it in a football stadium, but it's like open and it leaves. That place being a small arena of like 19,000 would explode.
What would be the logistics? I mean, it's the same logistics as the UFC, getting Trump to be able to safely attend a hockey
If it's
game.
tomorrow,
Same way they did with the Super Bowl.
Oh, they would have to. Dude, it's so
The
difficult.
Superdome was described as like the safest building in Louisiana, probably one of the safest in the country when Trump was there.
Oh, but did you hear who was it? Cardi B was like, and like Donald Trump, she was eating whatever the hell nachos. She's like, and motherfucking Donald Trump, I couldn't even get in. It was like, oh God, just even impersonating her. She was furious because of the security for Donald Trump being inside there, and she was mad that her $3,000 shoes. Ugh, she disgusts me. But anyway. I'm disgusted with her, but yeah, dude, that's freaking. I'm watching it.
I'm telling you, even if you're not a sports person, just tune in for the beginning, and I got a funny feeling you'll be hooked. It's going to be awesome.
I hope Trump.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, he shows
7
up.
o'clock tomorrow.
7. What channel? Do you know?
I think any one of like the.
ESPN?
It'll probably play on ABC, ESPN Plus, like one of that.
Okay,
family.
well now with this freaking publicity that
yeah,
Americans are going to go.
It's going to get a huge rating too.
Oh, I can't wait. All right, Viva, you Canadian.
We're going back to Canada.
Son of a. I don't. If you ever.
If a flight originating out of Minneapolis crashes in Toronto, where do they bury the survivors?
Where?
They don't bury the survivors, Vinny. Come on, get with the run. So this is. I say the only reason we can make light of this and laugh about it a little bit is because everyone, by the grace of God, survived, and it's nothing shy of a freaking miracle. Ordinarily, you wouldn't play plane crashes. This is the Delta flight. There's a bunch of nuances to this. It's a Delta flight, but it's actually run by a company called, I forget, a smaller Endeavor, a regional company. It flies the Delta banner. It's a Bombardier plane, which I believe are made in Canada, crashing at the Pearson Airport in Toronto. If you haven't seen the footage, we don't need to play all of it, but let's play this because it's the stuff of nightmares, and everyone on that plane, God put a finger on and said, you all get a second chance, make the most of it. Play this and watch the plane crashing as it lands.
And tell me what you see about the landing.
Well, we're gonna get into the thoroughness. Everything's normal. You imagine everything in this flight was normal right until now.
There's no approach. There's no approach.
I have a question.
So we can let this play while we do it.
We've all been on flights and everything where they touch down and the idiot plane clappers start to applaud. You think everybody was booing on this plane? Like, boo, that's not how you're supposed to do it.
So the plane crashes. Then we can just see very briefly what it looks like from the outside because the staff getting everyone off the plane
right
is
look at this.
They get them out like pros, and then look at this thing.
Look at, dude. Like
the fuselage is in one piece, not on fire because the wings broke off. I learned. So we in our locals community, vivabarneslaw.locals.com, we've got a number of 100,000 people. There's a pilot who I met, and I rang him up yesterday. I was like, can you come on and explain what's going on here? Commercial airline pilot with 24 years military experience. He says, yeah, that thing hit hard. Hit hard like it, right at the end. It didn't do something called flaring, which is you tip up your nose, you create ground effect, which is like compressing the air as you land.
That's when the flaps are down when you're coming in.
It wasn't so much the flap issue, the flaps issue or another thing, but it's physical. Like you bring up the tip a little bit, it compresses the air, it creates a little buffer, and it softens the landing. This one, for whatever the reason, he said, looks like it's descending at 4,000 to 5,000 feet. Whether or not there's a tailwind and doesn't do it, it didn't flare. It didn't have any soft. It hit hard. The wheels collapsed. It then rolled. The fuel is in the wings, which is why the burning occurred away from the fuselage.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. It looks like the front landing gear is still out and open, but it doesn't look like the back landing.
Oh no, the back collapsed.
Just exploded.
It came down hard. The only question is going to be why? Was it a tailwind? Did they not flare? Was it incompetence or lack of experience? And I'm not saying that.
And listen, I don't know if you guys seen what's the movie Office Space. You could never have enough flare. I'm all for put as much.
Oh, that's
flare.
the movie. Office.
Yeah,
I thought you were going to go with the movie Final Destination.
No,
because that's what I was thinking.
I want so much flare.
Yeah. Another possible explanation I saw people floating around was that because there was like 22 centimeters of snow on the airport at that time, that as you're coming in for a landing, when it's over freshly fallen snow or water, it's really difficult to gauge visually how far away you are because the snow basically erases all sense of scale for the ground. Yeah. So depending on who was flying this, an experienced pilot should have been able to figure out how to avoid this. But if they're coming in too hot and they think, oh, I've got like 1,500 feet of clearance, and they're like 20 feet off the ground.
But nowadays, are pilots even looking out the windows to know where they land?
There's unmanned. There's still visuals apparently when they land. And the thing about this one is that it didn't come in hot all the way. It was just a section right before they touched down where there was no flare. But set that aside in terms of the cause. Bring it back to Mehdi Hassan. Now this is not directly in response to that particular plane crash, but people are blaming Trump. Mehdi Hassan, do you guys know who he is?
Yes, of course.
Okay, he's the worst, among the worst people on Earth.
Sucks ass.
He tweets down at the bottom in response to, this is another plane crash, but there's been a spate of them, which is why people are blaming Trump, even though this one happened in Canada, in Canadian airspace, with a Canadian-made plane. Somebody, there's a two dead in a small plane crash, whatever. Mehdi Hassan writes, make American planes crash again.
What a
straight up,
scumbag.
I thought it was a meme when I saw this. Then he has to come out and say, no, I wasn't promoting terrorism. I was just being a crass ass, but if you thought that I was making a terrorist reference, that's because you're Islamophobic. Yeah. And then he gives out one of these half-ass, I apologize, but the MAGA are Islamophobic racists are making it into something that it's not. I just wanted to, it was a poorly phrased, ill-timed joke, whatever. Mehdi Hassan, you've been put on blast, you're a jackass.
You're a scumbag.
Moving it over to the next one. Senator Mark Kelly. I remember seeing this guy, and it's funny, like if I go and I see someone talking and they're kind of sounding stupid, and I can just predict they're going to be a Democrat. Senator Mark Kelly says, another airline accident just today. I'm not sure if this was directly in response to the one in Toronto, Canada. He writes, this really doesn't feel like the right time to be downsizing at the FAA. More bad decisions by Elon Musk and Donald Trump. Do you imagine this is Trump's first month, and instead of looking at a decade of DEI potentially causing this, they look to a month of Trump presidency and discussion about downsizing the FAA, which hasn't actually occurred yet. So no rush too fast to blame Trump, sir.
And I don't remember this same energy when trains were derailing and Paternity Pete and Joe Biden were running the show last year, right?
I do remember people blaming them because
our side.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But that they had been in power for, they had been responsible for their duties for a certain extended period of time already. The whole thing is like, this doesn't just happen at the snap of a finger where you talk about downsizing the FAA or making cuts and then planes start crashing. And if it does, you might want to think people are deliberately crashing them so they can then say, haha, look what you've done.
That's what I was going to say.
Listen, the piece of a scumbag number. Do you guys know who
I know. I was on Piers Morgan with this guy, and it's like, bro, the hits just keep on coming with these morons,
the number of people you have screamed at on Piers Morgan is just, it's staggering.
But if you look at the people that I have to deal with.
Who was that most recent one? The Italian woman talking about RFK Jr. And I couldn't figure out if she was parody. I thought for a second.
I thought it was a joke. I thought it was a joke.
Okay. You know who she is?
I don't know her name, but I know exactly what you're talking about. I've been on.
Anytime Pierce posts one of those thumbnails where it's like, the panel of guests, and then Vinny like forehead vein, red face, like
I
this
just
is gonna be a
can't
good one.
believe it. Like people like that exist, and the fact that when Mehdi Hassan, who I think is just a hatchet for the just a absolute douchebag. He is a douchebag. He's freaking like, how can you say make American planes crash again?
Oh, I was just making a joke.
And then you blame people for being Islamophobic. You're a scumbag, bro. Just a scumbag.
In any race, religion, or creed, Mehdi Hassan is the scum of scum. Very closely followed by Brian Tyler Cohen, who goes by the moniker No Lie with BTC on Twitter is his other handle. God. I guess this one is enough of a lie that he couldn't post it under No Lie. Play this clip and just listen to this.
Some lie.
Let me hear this.
The reality is that Trump rammed through a bunch of unqualified nominees to lead departments that they were incapable of leading, this is what happens as a result. This right here is the consequence. Donald Trump owns all of this. Elon Musk owns all of this. And all of these spineless Republican senators who greenlit Sean Duffy own all of this. These people are such fucking cowards that they felt it was more important to kowtow to Daddy Trump than actually take their advice and consent roles seriously.
Dude,
and now we can barely go a day without a plane crashing somewhere in this country. Maybe next time these Republicans should try and disconnect their lips from Donald Trump's ass.
I love when these betas like this guy at Hodge call everybody else cowards.
And then the whole country might be better off.
No, he hides behind his ideological silo to call people effing cowards. And now we can't even go a day without planes falling out of the sky. And it's like this idiot thinks you have 4 years to 10 years of DEI promoting incompetence. That's not the cause. It's 1 month of Trump in power. Well, wouldn't you know the aggregate knowledge of the interwebs? Now, I'm not saying that this is the cause of the crash that occurred.
We don't know yet. We don't know. Because we don't know all the information yet, which they love to hold it for us.
All that we know, I said, like, it might be a good time to release the names of the pilots because, the people might think it's sort of fraudulent concealment. Yeah. I have been told by other members of our community that you don't release the names of the pilots because if they're cleared in an inspection afterwards, then you've sort of tarnished their names. But you could give us some identifiable features of the pilots.
How about were they female? How about just tell us?
Well, we don't need to worry. We'll find out, and maybe it's nothing. But this is a montage of TikTok posts and whatever you want to call them from the company that owned the regional thing, that was running the regional thing. What was it called again?
Endeavor Air.
You turn the volume down just so you don't get copy claimed on
lower the music,
CommuTube.
but let's just see it.
But you'll get the gist because there's you can play it and we'll talk over it now.
Let me see what's going on here.
It's girl power. It's
hot
boss
pilot.
power. Here we go. What's she saying here? Leave the...
I don't think so. I don't think...
Here you go. You got it's girl boss. Like this is Kamala Harris, girl boss, and there's nothing wrong with it.
No, she's really good at what she's doing. But again, they're proud of their DEI hires.
They keep going. It keeps going. And basically, the bottom line is unmanned, and it's a bunch of women, and I think there's a bit of a pun intended there.
I don't know what you guys are talking about where it's like everybody's uncomfortable with women being on planes, because like I'm fully on board with there being female flight crews. Someone has to serve me peanuts.
So stupid.
Oh, no.
Yo, if your wife is watching right now?
No, my wife would not get on a flight flown by a woman.
So that's the company right there. So we don't know, but the idea that the reflex is to immediately blame Trump for a flight a crash that occurs in Canada with over Canadian airspace, and some geniuses on the internet it took off from Minneapolis, and that's the FAA. Whatever. We'll see what the
ghost of George Floyd arose and snatched the plane out of the sky.
It might be also just total force majeure, a sequence of events, and maybe the most experienced pilot.
It's been happening a lot in the past.
It's been happening a lot. And the bottom line, you got these companies that were out there celebrating DEI and not just outright competence, and you will not be able to blame people for being suspicious and saying this might be the culmination of a decade of idiocracy and not a month of meritocracy.
Right. And so let me ask you a question. I want to know what the chat thinks. If you go on an airplane and you look in the cockpit and you see two female pilots, are you staying on that flight or are you getting off? I genuinely want to know, not being biased, not being sexist, do you feel comfortable with two women being on the flight? And this is what I tweeted earlier today, Viva. I posted earlier today, I said, regardless, there's rumors that one of these girls might have been a pilot, maybe both. I don't know. Looks like the odds are that's potentially leaning towards one of them, okay? Why not? Why doesn't Delta, American, and all these freaking airlines, they all have apps. I have every single app because I've traveled so much. Why does their app integrate like Lyft and Uber, just a rating process of meaning, Today you're going on such... Amy Dangerfield is flying this flight. She has this many years of experience. This is who she is.
Bro, I can't even drive a car.
Yeah, no. Yeah, Amy's like, I'm not... But what if it's like... And she's had an incident before. No. Like, what do you mean? She fucking flipped off a runway once. I want to know that. I'm not getting on that flight. I'm
Pretty
sorry.
much the whole chat, well, a lot of people in the chat are saying that they would get off. And then when we take a look at the poll so far, it looks like 55% of people out of 83 votes are saying they would not stay on that.
Nobody's getting off. Nobody's realistically getting off because it's so impractical. But
if you look at the cockpit,
you're praying.
But this is the argument we always make against DEI is because honestly, 12 to 15 years ago, if I got on a plane and saw 2 women, I might just be like, hey. And now because of the way things have gone, now I see them and I'm like, bye.
Well, but here's my question. Be honest.
Yeah.
With all these people and all these practices that they're talking about, it's in their... Dude, they're making these videos and they're proud about it. They're promoting this DEI. Do you think, before we close the show, there's incidences where they have a pilot that's better than this pilot, but they go, we have to put, like, she can still fly. She's still capable, Dave. She still knows how to land and take off and she has hours. But because it's a dude, we have to put her in there. Does that happen?
Yes. Undoubtedly.
They
fuck
proved
that.
They proved it with court cases.
Yeah, and guess
where they went through the exams that it takes to apply for various positions with the FAA, pilot exams, and they found that minority pilots and female applicants and various people who are basically not white men were given questions that allowed them to get bumped up higher on the list.
I don't see. I'm anti that.
Well, and it's a good point. Is like 20 years ago, I think the DEI or the inclusion started maybe a decade ago. 20 years ago. If you were to have seen it, it would have been a no-brainer. The thought wouldn't have occurred to you.
Because I know that she has skills.
Well, and now
she's nasty.
the thought occurs to you, and if hypothetically I get in and Tulsi Gabbard is flying the plane because I have an established relationship of confidence in her decisions, wouldn't second guess it. But because of identity politics, I would say, did this person earn it or were they elevated to it? And it's a big freaking problem when you're talking about teaching. It's a big problem, but not life and death. Maybe in a longer term. Flying, military, police, things that require surgeons, things where it is merit, necessity, as a matter of life and death. DEI has zero place there.
But you know what? Let's say hypothetically that whoever was flying that plane that crashed and flipped upside down, the cockpit was inhabited by 2 straight white guys. Does that change the situation at all for us?
No.
Is it any better that 2 white guys flipped a plane than 2 black women?
No.
Like, no, it's a clear competence problem.
Yeah, somebody that's not qualified to...
It's not about race. It's not about gender. It's the fact that you have allowed incompetent people to take positions they don't deserve to have, and standards have been lowered to where now this kind of thing happens on a weekly basis.
Yep.
And that is the problem.
That is the problem. So... And I agree with you.
All that to say, by the way, it's a freaking miracle. Everybody survived. I think 15 or 18 are in hospital. 3 are apparently in critical.
And they're all suing.
You imagine you hit the ground at 4,000 to 5,000 feet per minute descent, and then you flip upside down with those stupid little narrow seatbelts.
The truth is, I'm always so bothered when they're like, pull your seat straight up, put your seatbelt on.
Now you know why.
And I'm kind of like,
no.
Right.
Now, when people say, hey, man, have a safe flight, bullshit. That's the pilots. I go in there and I look at the pilots every single time and I go, are you guys good?
And you have to appreciate
you guys good?
The whole thing about the Bombardier planes, doors blowing off, was also questionably the result of the DEI policies that they've implemented over the last decade.
Yeah, people cutting
it's
corners.
like, it's just, they want to reflexively blame Trump. The reality is these types of consequences of policy happen like bankruptcy. It's very slow and then all at once. And we might be seeing the culmination of a decade plus of identity politics over competence.
Someone just said it's called a cockpit for a reason. Shout out Jack Dubs, that's funny.
Thanks,
also,
Jack.
hello, Bob Jeff.
All right, guys. Well, great show. That was flashing us 1,000 times, which is not distracting at all. But
I didn't see it.
It's right in my face.
Well, okay, to clarify,
Kelly's
she was flashing the end of show slide, not flashing Vinne from the production.
You know what I mean?
To clarify.
Kelly will just, I'm like, Kelly, I'm trying to do it. Anyway, but great show, guys. We are going to be back Thursday, 4 p.m. Appreciate you guys. And before you get on a plane, always go in the cockpit. I'm sorry?
Friday?
You meant Friday.
Are we back Friday?
What did I say? That's
Thursday, dude. I don't even know why.
I meant Friday. I
We've
just
never done a Thursday show.
He's thinking of the hockey game.
We're
He's
going to
very
be back
excited.
Friday. Yeah, I'm thinking about the hockey for sure. That's tomorrow night, right?
Tomorrow at 7 p.m.
We'll be back Friday at 4 p.m. God bless you guys. We'll see you guys then. Peace and love.
Peace.